Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you know what that sound means. It's time for In the Paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese. We have reached the penultimate race on the F1 calendar. For the first time since 1982, we're back in Sin City, the entertainment capital of the world. It's the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Las Vegas, known for its casinos, resort hotels, the Strip, Fremont Street, oh, the shows, and Elvis impersonators. Oh yeah, and Elvis said it best. Oh, there's blackjack tables and poker and the roulette wheel. A fortune won and lost on every deal. All you need is a strong heart and nerves of steel. Oh, Viva
Viva
Las
Las
Vegas!
Vegas!
Oh, yes, but this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing the Las Vegas street circuit. 17 corners, 3.85 miles is the second longest on the calendar. 2 DR rest zones through the streets of Vegas, past the new Sphere, down the famous Las Vegas Strip. Lap speeds like Monza, averaging 150 miles an hour. You give it the full beans for 79% of your lap. And oh, baby, Vegas disappoint. What a race we got. Max forced Leclerc off for turn one. A VFC followed after the kerfuffle in turn one. Safety cars followed. We got high speeds, great passes, amazing racing, a slick track, but in the end, Max takes the win in an Elvis-themed fire suit. He hated the whole thing all weekend. Yeah, he shut his mouth after that. Leclerc takes second, passing Perez in the final lap as Perez takes third. We're caffeinated, we're medicated. Greeny, good evening, sir.
Who knew you can sing, sir?
Yes,
You
sir,
should-
baby.
You should be heading to Vegas. You should be heading to Vegas. Elvis impersonators, watch out.
I thought you'd like that. I thought you'd like that.
In the Paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese, we are back for the penultimate race here. We, amazingly enough, we're packing it up and going across the world for 8 days away from Abu Dhabi and the end of the season. Unbelievable. Not that the season is pretty much wrapped up, first and second. We do have some battles as far as constructors, pretty close between Mercedes and Ferrari. I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit. But I don't even know what the story of the weekend is. It Max Verstappen winning his 18th race of the year, smashing his own record? Is it that they were able to pull this Las Vegas race together after what would look like would be a disaster, Thursday and of course on Friday? So they pulled it together. They ended up with one of the best races in the year. I think they really ended up in a situation where we had vehicles passing each other on track without, obvious tire degradation or obvious, a wear and tear of a vehicle. It was actual legit racing out there and cars passing each other. So that was exciting to see. Obviously, the battles right from the beginning. Max Verstappen, involved in several kerfuffles, including one with George Russell as well.
Yep.
FIA said George Russell didn't see him there. I guess.
Well, that was the right one on that. I mean, he turned into him. They were side by side. Russell said afterwards that that was his fault.
And
Didn't
Max
know he was
Verstappen,
there. I don't know how you didn't know he was there, but
he does get the 5-second penalty for the aforementioned turn one knocking into the Ferrari there. It did not make many Ferrari fans that showed up to Las Vegas very happy. But, geez, how did you feel about the entire weekend of Formula One in Las Vegas? Something we were looking forward to for a long time.
I mean, it started out a disaster, but the way it ended, you can pretty much forget about the disaster of how it started. I mean, that was, like you said, probably that might have been the race of the year. I mean, that was just excitement. I mean, all the way through the pack. I mean, that pass Lewis made on was that Gasly through the final corner there, flat out, full out, 200 miles an hour, side by side, and kind of like a blindish corner. Leclerc's pass on Perez on the final lap and turn was at 14. The speed of the cars just down the strip that's a sight. That was a sight we all wanted to see. We wanted to see him bombing down the strip past all the hotels, which was just mind-boggling. That new Sphere building is ridiculous. that they drove by and the faces and things they would put on that as the cars went by. I mean, the weekend was just fun. It was good racing. It was slick track. Drivers had to be on their game for it, and they brought it. And it was, a lot of people said it was going to be a show more than racing. Well, it was a race and a show. You got a double package. Just a fantastic weekend.
And you got lot of live performances.
Nine more guaranteed coming.
A lot of live performances. A lot of live performances, musicians, all the hotels. They had events on every single hotel. They may have this in other places. I don't know if it's as pronounced as it was in Vegas. There's a lot of residents or artists in resident that live in Las Vegas and live in the surrounding areas, or in the Los Angeles Valley, which is about 4 to 5 hours away. So it's really relatively close to all these artists and acts, but they all played. So those people who ended up getting left in the cold until 1:30 in the morning on Friday night did have some, live concert music to enjoy. But that was not the point of them paying their, I believe a lot of residents, I believe it was $250 per day for some of the resident tickets, for some pretty decent tickets. I know the early bird did not get the worm here, and the early bird got the screw when it came to the hotels and the tickets and everything like that. As we were, I think, talking about last year on the show, how it was like $10,000, for a package. That came down drastically. It was still thousands of dollars, but it was off kilter. Plus, we have 3 races in the U.S. now, so I think it takes a little bit of luster off of it as well. Plus, you mentioned as well this week off the show that it's all tied up. I mean, it's all done. The season's done as far as a championship crown. Now, how amazing would it be if we had a championship battle going on?
Oh, that would be
this weekend. How would that be?
It would have been even more bonkers than it was as is. I mean, you throw a championship into the ring, then that atmosphere would have been to another level. Absolutely. I mean, we'll see how things go for next year. They might find, ways to put more seats in, because I think they had over 100,000 for the race.
105,000 was the number that they put up there.
And they took away, they got rid of some stands.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of stands too. So, I mean, I'm sure they're going to try and find a way to pack more people in.
Yeah,
but it was just brilliant racing.
Yeah,
all the way through. They came, and the circus came to town and put on a show.
Yeah, they're all preparing for the Super Bowl over there, so they're expecting another 100,000 plus people for the big game in a few months. So something that Las Vegas can handle.
Well, yeah,
it's wild though, absolutely wild. Sitting there and watching them fly down the strip. I can't believe they pulled it off. And I believe all the dissenters and the people that were upset, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, I think really, really will turn around after a great ending to this in the middle of the night sometime in Chinatown.
Well, that was the reason behind that is because most of the world would be able to watch it in the morning. Like we do, like we here in the States, we get races at 7, 8, 9 in the morning. That's what they got it in Europe. Rest of the world, early afternoon or something like that. So that's why it was done at that late hour for us here. It kind of stunk on the East Coast. Race didn't get underway until 1 in the morning and didn't end until 2:40, 2:45, something like that. Or somewhere around that hour.
We were not the center of the sports world as far as timing was concerned for this one. So I'm absolutely exhausted.
No.
I had to work most of the day today, but we made it. We made it to the show. We wanted to put something out at least for tonight because it is the penultimate race, and it was Las Vegas, something we've been looking forward to for a long, long time. They pulled it off. Unbelievable, man. We're going to be back.
After that performance, that might end up being the premier race of the season now.
Could be the premier race of the season. We might make that the last race of the season instead of Abu Dhabi. That will be some fun. As long as Max isn't ahead by, green and cheese in the paddock, everyone. We're back in a second, man. Stick around. That's right. Boys and girls, we are back. We need choosing the Paddock F1. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Just go to the YouTube box there with the magnifying glass and you type in Greeny and the Cheese. Or the Paddock F1. Or your favorite podcasts, which is, of course, us. Thanks for joining us. As always, we always appreciate everyone listening to the show from all around the world. We're always flattered and amazed. Specifically, Cheese is amazed how many people are tuning in, and more and more each week, which is amazing because we felt the season was pretty much over. We had a nice little jolt of extra listeners. So really, really thank you all for joining us. The best way to support this show is to go onto YouTube or go onto where your favorite podcast is and give us a like. Give us a star or 5-star or 4-star or 3-star or whatever. Drop a comment. Please, that's the best way to support us. We don't sell anything. We have nothing for sale. What you see is what you get. So please, 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 if you like what you hear, go support us just by liking, subscribing, and checking out all the other episodes, which are for free. And with all that stalling tactic done and out of the way, sir, he says absolutely nothing I will get.
Maybe the first one.
Over, under, 1.5.
Oh. Take the under.
Take the under.
It's Quiz Master's Cockpit. Here we go, sir. Are you ready for your 3 questions?
Apparently not, but just shoot, man.
Question 1. With the win in Las Vegas, Red Bull took their 20th win of the season, breaking a record for wins by a constructor in a season. Who held the prior record, and what year did they set it?
Mercedes 17?
Oh, close. Mercedes 16. So it's definitely going to be an 0 for 3 this week.
I'm over the answer.
Well, that was the only one I thought you'd get.
Okay.
Question 2. Logan Sargent became the first American to start in the top 10 in a home Grand Prix since 1987. Name that driver.
Is it Michael Andretti again?
That is not correct. Eddie Cheever in Detroit.
That Detroit Grand Prix. All right.
That's 0 for 2. Good
Wasn't
thing
getting
I
that
started
one.
losers. Good thing I started losers next.
All right, come on.
Question number 3.
Let's get this done with, all right? You know, you started with that shitty grin on your face there. You know, let's just you got questions, you know, I don't know. Just spit them out.
These are history questions. Leclerc is the only driver in the past 12 years to have a DNF or did not finish, a DSQ or disqualified, and a DNS or did not start in a single season. The previous driver to achieve this was who?
Since I just saw him a few moments ago, Jensen Button.
No. Actually, it's a current driver. Sergio Perez.
Sergio. That's not shocking at all. And a friend asked me this weekend who doesn't really watch Formula One asked, does Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez drive different cars? Like, is it the same basic vehicle? Because why is one so much better than the other? And I'm like, oh, it's the same, pretty much the same vehicle. Within 98% accuracy, it's the same vehicle there. So, yeah, not surprised that Sergio is a mess. Not surprised to see Leclerc being a mess, too.
Well, that's 0 for 3. And as the creed on this show, your performance in Quizmaster's cockpit leads us into the next part of the program. So that'll take us right into losers. I mean, you can pick your poison here. I'll say first one will go to Williams. I mean, you had both cars start in the top 10, and you finished all the way at the back of the pack. Just cooked your tires. Had the pace. Just couldn't manage your tires. So that's a massive disappointment. And then I'm going to give my other loser, I'm going to give it to Mercedes. I mean, Sainz had a spin at the beginning there, so you had a really good chance to get, big point game on Ferrari, and you did it. And Ferrari finished both cars in front of you, and now you only lead Ferrari by 4 points heading into the finale.
Something to live for in the finale.
So yeah, I'll stop there with my losers.
I didn't really what a disaster. You got hope for them not being able to finish in another home Grand Prix. How many home Grand Prix are going to be terrible in?
All of them?
All of them, apparently. Lando Norris, I know maybe it was his fault, maybe it wasn't his fault. You drive 6 inches or 8 inches off your center mark, and you hit something, and he hit something on the track.
Lost the rears.
And yeah, there was a couple floods there, but that was bad.
Yeah,
it's bad news. Lando definitely, McLaren definitely wanted to finish strong, and Lando Norris definitely wanted to try and compete here, and that did not happen. Even though we started 15th, as we know, it was really jostled field, and those are my losers. How are your winners, sir?
Aston Martin. Stroll, a really another good drive, 5th place.
Mm-hmm.
Quietly. That the safety cars definitely benefited him, along with a bunch of other drivers in the field. Alonso 9th. Another just good performance for Aston Martin. Getting double points versus McLaren, who only gets one driver in the points, and for that battle for what's that 5th in the constructors.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give it to Ferrari. I mean, Leclerc drove that car to the max. You could definitely just drive. Definitely deserved driver of the day, in my opinion. Drove that car probably beyond what it could perform, to be honest. And then Carlos with the, kerfuffle getting spun out there in turn 1, first lap, and coming back to have a really solid finish. And after that, just driving mad. Carlos was driving mad all weekend after Thursday. He was just driving mad. He was pissed off. He even said in the, if you said it to qualifying, I'm still pissed as hell, basically, with everything that went on here. So, but yeah, I'll give it to Ferrari. Those will be my winners.
Yeah, I mean, Esteban Ocon coming from way back. Yep. Again, this was a track that was really made more for qualifying times versus race times were so much different. But, Ocon coming from behind, from the back, Oscar Piastri coming from the back as well. The kid, he's so mature. I heard him in the post-race on, I think, the F1 channel or one of those channels, and he just seems so mature, so with it. He has grown so much just this year alone. It's really amazing to see how he's grown, and he's really going to be a huge asset to Formula One. The Thunder, bringing the Thunder from down under, and yeah, you mentioned Merck on the other side of the board there. I think that's about it. A lot of other guys were quiet, throughout. A lot of disappointment, honestly.
Yeah.
And a huge flip of the field.
Alfa Romeo, another disaster.
Yeah. The back 4 teams did not score a single point. So the back 4 teams in the constructor standings did not score a single point this weekend. So definitely disappointing from that end. Definitely a very top-heavy weekend. And that's where we stand, man. Ultimately, one of the best races I think we've seen in a long time. But of course, despite all of that, and despite how great it was, and despite everything else, somebody needs to slap themselves.
I need to slap my goddamn self for that.
This is actually kind of a tough one.
I don't think it is.
I think it's F1 for Thursday, what they did to the fans. 8 minutes for FP1, and because of that, with the madness with the track and the sprinkler head or whatever the hell came up and destroyed 2 cars, but then you don't even let the fans show up for FP2. You just kick them all out. I mean, that was bad. And then you offer them a $200 merchandise waiver at your tent. I mean, go get a sweatshirt and a hat and get the hell out of here. I mean, that's pretty rough. That's pretty
merch.
Rough, so
when in doubt,
that was bad form, as they say.
When in doubt, get them some merchandise. Merchandise, baby.
Merchandise.
No, that was a disaster. You're really trying to sell a city on this, and a lot of locals were there. A lot of locals, they got that $250 grandstand seating for that Friday night. Relatively inexpensive, very expensive, but relatively inexpensive for what it was. And there were a lot of them out there. There were people from all over the world. There were people that went to a lot of races that I heard interviewed, and I said they'd never really seen this happen before. And others said, listen, in street races, especially in the Middle East, this happens more often than not. In Jeddah, this happens before. You just not in the middle, of practice or of quality, but it happens. Stuff happens. It's a street race. It's a street. It's not a controlled track. It's not a controlled environment. Stuff's gonna happen. So that's what we had. But yeah, I think they did a bad job with treating the fans the way they did. That's it. So slap yourself, yeah. Formula One.
Absolutely.
Do better, and they'll have more chances, at least, probably a lot more than that, to make it right. Feeding cheese in the paddock F1. Guess what, sir? We will be back momentarily, because I know somebody is broke. Somebody blew it in Vegas, and they're gonna have the money for the plane ticket to make it back home. And someone else might be declaring themselves a victor in Green Bucks as we conclude our season in the paddock F1, Green the Cheese. We're back in a hot second.
Yes, we're back in the paddock F1, Green the Cheese. Oh, you know what that sound means. It's time to take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Raytopia, where the beer flows like wine, and the wine flows like beer, and the cannabis grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there, green and luscious. Take a little whiff. That air smells fantastic. Take a little walk to the top of the hill with our tickets in hand. That casino at the top. Where are we? Cashing in, or are we checking out?
You had some friends over last night. We took a ride to the casino at the top of the hill, and I heard about you after that.
Sometimes it happens when we go to the casino at the top of the hill.
So I came into this weekend at 7,800 Greeny Bucks, which was pretty robust because you were at 5,340. Yeah, hard time getting a grip this year. So you said, screw that. You're going bananas. That sure spells bananas.
I went with, I listened to a little Elvis Presley, and I tried to channel some Elvis. So here you go. This is also my concession speech. I'm going to keep on the run. I'm going to have some fun. If it costs me every last dime. If I wind up broke, oh well. I'll always remember that I had a Swinging time. I'm gonna give it everything I got. Lady Luck, please let the dice stay hot. Let me shoot a 7 on every shot. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
You still got a chance next week. You still got a chance next week.
Oh,
So I took Matt.
I was drinking the Elvis Kool-Aid, my friend.
Burn down the house. You, sir, have 2,400 greeny bucks, I believe, is what your number is. To my close to 8,000 greeny bucks. So you could go like a 35-1 odds on the trifecta and hit that. You could have like, you could go with Fernando Alonso to win, and he wins, and 25-1 odds, and put it all down. You would smash me. You got to go for broke now.
Yeah. We'll throw some madness, but you know what's going to happen.
All right, so people Las Vegas, but not Cheese's bank account as far as greeny bucks are concerned. He's the one packing up. And after 3 seasons, technically we are not finished yet because we will put some big bets down next week. Oh, absolutely nothing next week. I'm going to show up to bet next week. See the casino.
That is definitely not Mad Hatter-esque.
Absolutely not. It sounds difficult to me. And that's what I did for the 2023 season. Finally, get off the snide. Nobody circles the wagons. Like I just did. But you still have a chance. You still have a shot in the dark. We'll see what happens next week. But of course, sir. Congratulations to me. Breaking your 2-year win streak of being verbally unstoppable for 2 seasons. So good things always come to an end. We'll see what happens next year.
Dice can't stay hot forever, my friend.
Dice can't stay hot forever. That is correct, sir. Bring us home, because the one thing we do need to discuss is what is going on in the news.
Oh, let's see, where do we start here? Max Verstappen hated everything leading up to the race, and then he shows up in an Elvis fire suit, wins the race, and then he likes everything about Las Vegas. What'd you think about that turnaround?
I think that Max Verstappen felt a lot of pressure this week to not win this race. I think he felt a lot of pressure. I think the Ferrari fans were out. The Tifosi was out in full force from all over the world. And Ferrari's a brand name in the U.S. and in Las Vegas. And it's really synonymous, that branding of Ferrari and Lamborghini. And
High roller, baby.
That's a high roller brand, and even though that Red Bull car is better and probably some of those other cars cost more money than that Ferrari, as far as the image of Las Vegas, Ferrari would have been to be able to break Max's streak and get in there and win this would have been tremendous for the Ferrari fans, tremendous for the U.S., tremendous for the marketing of the sport. And I think in some weird way, Max was kind of affected by that, where he was not coming in as the fan favorite. And I think he felt disrespected by that because he's doing things this season that are absolutely unreal. And I felt that there's either a Lewis Hamilton crowd or a Ferrari crowd in a lot of ways. And that's what he was walking into. And I think he was pissed. He was definitely pissed all week. And I think that was a part of it. Because now he's whistling all the way to the airport and getting the heck out to Abu Dhabi. And in 10 days from now, he'll be on a beach somewhere sleeping it off.
Maybe it messed with his bedtime. Maybe he goes to bed earlier. And these late, the late nights in Vegas, maybe that just,
A lot of the drivers, and not just the drivers, but the staff, they were not happy about the late times. They were not happy about the late times.
Yeah, but, shut your mouth now because it's going to be like that for the next 9 years, if not more, because that was a humdinger. Thursday, we had the incident with Carlos Sainz's car basically being destroyed. Do the rules need to be changed? so that a driver doesn't get penalized for something like that.
It's like an act of God, right? So like if you're driving a
Force
vehicle,
majeure, a force majeure.
and a tree falls on it, right? Or there's a large wind blast and something falls and hits your vehicle, or like we saw 2 weeks ago in Brazil where we went from day to night, like it was Twister was coming, like we're all headed to the Wizard of Oz over there. It was pretty wild, and anything could happen. If enough wind came up and whipped up a loose fitting on a fence, and the fence came down and hit a vehicle, why is that vehicle going to have to get penalized? That was a complete act of God, and I don't think there should have been any penalty. Carlos Sainz really got a raw deal, and we didn't really speak about it during the show, so I'm glad you're bringing it up now. Carlos Sainz did get a raw deal. It's a total act of God. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. And the person, the only thing did anything wrong is Formula One, if you're going to blame anyone, for laying the track down.
Yeah, I think Max actually gave the best answer on this the entire weekend. He goes, he shouldn't have been penalized, but in this political climate within F1, teams aren't thinking of the whole, they're thinking of themselves. And of course, teams are going to say no. They're going to, that they should be penalized because that's the rules. But no, he shouldn't have been. Wasn't his fault that he ran over a part of the track and the piece came up and destroyed his car. Like, destroyed the car. Under tray, battery, the engine, broke his seat. That's how much force that hit with. And he wasn't even full throttle at that point. He actually let off and then got back on the throttle. So, no. The rules need to be changed for something like that to happen. No driver deserves to be penalized for the track breaking and he's just driving. I mean, that's just absolute lunacy. Ridiculous. And our final question in the news. I think we've almost given this answer in the first segment, but
yeah, it's all good, man. Bring it.
Was the Las Vegas GP a success? It is now. Remember this as well, with the new pit building and everything they spent all that money on. That is now the official home of F1 in the United States. That's the home offices in the United States.
It should be. This is an entertainment brand. This is a premier entertainment brand, as they want it to be. And there's no better place to have it than Las Vegas. What we saw over the weekend is correctable. Was it a successful race? From a monetary standpoint, yes. From a safety standpoint, yes. I don't think anything got out of control. When you have races and people walking home and walking back to their hotels at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, things could happen. We see it from a very singular and linear perspective. We don't see it from the perspective.
Vegas. There's people walking up out of the street at all hours.
I've been to Vegas. We've been there. We've been there at all hours of the night. I understand this. But the later it gets, or the earlier it gets, wherever you want to look at it and put it, the more dangerous it is. And to get and the staff that has to be out there enormously. This was a late night. This is going to be a lot later than the Super Bowl is going to be. Not many events end at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So it was a lot. I really feel a couple hours earlier, I think, from everyone's perspective, because we don't want sleepy drivers on our roadways here, especially on a racetrack. And the drivers were saying how exhausted they were after the race. They really, really were exhausted. And now also to get on a plane and to have to go and race in Abu Dhabi in 8 days, be on the track in 5 days in Abu Dhabi, that's a lot. And not just from the driver's perspective and the team perspective, but the Formula One staff and their inner staff, the grunts, the people that aren't making $55 million a year, but the guys that are making, $55,000 a year and traveling all around the world to set up these tracks. It's a lot. Really having 5 races in 6 weeks? It's a lot.
Yeah.
and I think something might have to be done about that. There was a lot of spacing out early in the season, and then a lot of tightening up at the end of the season. And it seems crazy to me, and it seems poor from a safety perspective. But that's my opinion. I think it was a successful race, and I think we're going to be back again and again. Hopefully, they can clean up the streets a little bit and make it a tighter experience. And that's all I got to say about this one, man.
That's all I got for you.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic. We got one more to go, as you mentioned many times, but tell us all about it and take us home, Cheese.
Abu Dhabi next week, the finale. Back to the desert. One last time.
Episode 90 of Greenie and the Cheese in the Paddock F1 next week to close out season 3. It's been a great first couple 3 seasons. I want to thank. We do have one more show to go, but I definitely want to thank my partner in crime here, Cheese, for putting up with me all season and making it really a great third season. We will have our season finale next week, and we're going to have some goodies for you all throughout the winter as I build up the Greenie and the Cheese studio to the next level here. So that should be fun as well. And say what you got to say, homie.
See you in a week's time. As always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.